What if I told you that the safe choice for your golden years could be the biggest mistake of your life? At 82, I've made plenty of mistakes, but none haunt me like moving into a nursing home. My family promised comfort and care, but what I found instead changed everything. Today, I'm sharing the brutal truth about nursing home life that no brochure will ever tell you. And trust me, regret number 4 shocked even me, after 8 decades of life experience. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what they don't want you to realize until it's too late. Because once those doors close behind you, getting out isn't as simple as you think. Before we dive in, I need you to understand something crucial. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to arm you with the truth that I wish someone had told me before I packed up my life and signed those papers. 3 years ago, I was living in my own home. My health was decent for someone in their late 70s. I cooked my own meals, tended my garden, and spent afternoons with my cat watching the neighborhood from my porch. But my children worried. What if I fell? What if something happened when no one was around? Their concern came from love, and so did their solution. Mom, we found this beautiful facility. You'll have nurses available 24/7, social activities, and no more worrying about maintenance or cooking. It sounded reasonable. It sounded safe. What could possibly go wrong? Stay with me, because by the time we reach regret number 6, you'll understand why this decision impacts far more than just where you'll live. It transforms who you are. If you know someone facing this choice right now, this might be the most important video they ever watch. Regret 1. Loss of independence. Regret number 1 hit me like a truck on my very first morning, the devastating loss of independence. Picture this. For over 60 years, I woke up when I wanted. Some days at 6 a.m. to watch the sunrise. Some days at 9 if I felt like sleeping in. I'd shuffle to my kitchen, brew my coffee exactly how I like it, strong, with just a splash of cream, and sit at my window while planning my day on my terms. My first morning at Sunny Pines Nursing Facility, a staff member knocked on my door at 7 a.m. sharp. "Good morning, Mrs. Jenkins. Time for breakfast." I wasn't hungry. I wasn't even fully awake. But it didn't matter because breakfast was served from 7 to 8:30, and that was that. This wasn't just about breakfast. It was about the sudden, jarring realization that my time was no longer my own. My routines, my preferences, my little daily choices, all replaced by a rigid institutional schedule created for efficiency, not comfort. Want to take a walk outside on a beautiful day? You'll need approval, and probably an escort. Feeling like a midnight snack? Kitchen's closed. Prefer a shower before bed instead of in the morning? Sorry, that's not when shower assistance is scheduled for your wing. I remember sitting in my new room that first week, staring at walls that weren't mine, surrounded by the few possessions that fit in my allotted space. My books, my favorite chair, the quilt my mother made, all gone or in storage. I reached for the romance novel I'd been reading, only to remember it was packed in some box I couldn't access. That's when it hit me. I had traded security for sovereignty, safety for self-determination. The hardest part? Watching how quickly we all surrendered. Within weeks, I stopped asking if I could eat later. I stopped requesting walks outside when the weather was nice. I learned to fit into their system because fighting it was exhausting. But with each compromise, a piece of me faded away. That spark of independence, the thing that had kept me vital all these years, dimmed a little more each day. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself this question: what daily freedoms make life worth living for you? Because once they're gone, you'll grieve them more than you can possibly imagine. Now, if you're finding value in these insights so far, pause for a moment and type independence in the comments. I read every single one, and your engagement helps this message reach others who need to hear it. Regret 2. Feeling forgotten. Now for regret number 2, and this one still brings tears to my eyes. The crushing reality of feeling forgotten by the outside world. "We'll visit all the time, Mom," my daughter promised as she arranged my toiletries in my new bathroom. "And now we won't worry so much." I believed her, and for the first month, they did visit. My daughter came every Sunday after church. My son stopped by on Wednesday evenings. My grandchildren visited on holidays. These visits were lifelines, bridges to my former life and reminders that I still belonged somewhere. But as weeks turned to months, something shifted. My daughter's Sunday visits became every other Sunday, then monthly. My son's calls replaced his visits. Sorry, Mom. Work is crazy right now. Or the kids have activities this weekend. I want to be clear, my family loves me. They're good people with busy lives. But when you're not physically present in someone's daily world, you become optional. An appointment that can be rescheduled when life gets hectic. There was one Tuesday. I'll never forget it. When I realized I hadn't spoken to another human being beyond yes, please, or no, thank you for 9 days straight. 9 days of watching other residents stare hopefully at the door whenever it opened. 9 days of pretending I wasn't doing the same thing. The worst moment? Last Christmas. The facility was decorated beautifully. Twinkling lights, a towering tree in the common room, holiday music playing softly. The staff wore Santa hats and served cookies. But as I looked around the room, I saw dozens of elderly people sitting alone, watching the clock tick toward a holiday evening with no visitors. My family had planned to come, but my grandson caught the flu, and it seemed safer for everyone if they postponed. I understood, truly, I did, but understanding doesn't fill an empty room. That night, I sat on my bed holding my cell phone, debating whether to call them. I didn't want to seem needy or make them feel guilty during their holiday, so I put the phone down and stared at the wall for hours instead. Here's what no one tells you. The pain of feeling forgotten doesn't lessen with time. It compounds. Each missed visit, each canceled plan, each holiday spent watching others reunite with their families. It all builds into a mountain of isolation that can crush even the strongest spirit. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that your world will shrink to the size of your room? Because no matter how much your family loves you, out of sight often becomes out of mind faster than you, or they, could ever expect. If you've experienced this with a loved one, or if you're worried about it happening to you, comment "forgotten" below. Your story matters, and others need to know they're not alone in this fear. If you're still with me, I want to thank you. I know these truths aren't easy to hear. They weren't easy to live through either. But by the end of this video, you'll have information that could save you or someone you love from making a decision they can't reverse. In just a moment, I'm going to share regret number 3, which explains why so many nursing home residents seem to age decades within months of moving in. But first, if you're finding this insight valuable, please hit that subscribe button and bell notification so you never miss our videos on elderly wisdom and life lessons. Your support helps us reach more people with these crucial conversations that no one else is having. Regret 3. Losing purpose. Regret number 3 blindsided me completely. The devastating loss of purpose that comes with nursing home life. You see, purpose isn't just some lofty philosophical concept. It's waking up with a reason to get out of bed. It's having tasks that matter, responsibilities that give your day structure, and the knowledge that someone or something depends on you. At home, I had routines that gave my life meaning. I watered my plants every Tuesday and Friday. I baked cookies for the neighborhood children. I volunteered at the library once a week, helping catalog new books. These weren't grand achievements, but they were mine, tasks that made me feel necessary in this world. Then came the nursing home, where everything was done for me. Meals appeared at designated times. Cleaning staff changed my sheets and towels whether they needed it or not. Activities were scheduled and supervised like we were children at summer camp. Isn't it nice to finally relax? A well-meaning nurse asked during my first week. But humans weren't built for endless relaxation. We were built for purpose. I watched it happen to all of us. There was George, an 84-year-old former carpenter who had spent decades creating beautiful furniture with his hands. In the nursing home, the most complex thing he was allowed to build was a birdhouse during weekly craft time. His once skilled hands became idle, then shaky, then nearly useless as months passed. There was Margaret, who had raised 6 children and managed a household through the Great Depression with remarkable efficiency. Now she sat in the common room all day, watching game shows and waiting for meal times, the only punctuation in an otherwise meaningless day. The most heartbreaking moment came 3 months after I arrived. I overheard a staff member talking to a new resident's daughter. "Don't worry about bringing her knitting supplies," the staff member said. "We have activities planned. She won't need those." Those knitting needles weren't just tools. They were that woman's connection to who she had been for decades. But in the nursing home, individual purposes get replaced by institutional schedules. The human spirit needs meaning like the body needs water. Without it, we don't die immediately. We wither slowly, becoming shadows of who we once were. Within 6 months, I noticed residents who had been alert and engaged when I arrived now staring blankly at walls or television screens. They had adapted to a life without purpose, and that adaptation looked alarmingly like surrender. If you're considering a nursing home, I beg you to ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? What makes you feel necessary? And how will you preserve that purpose in an environment designed to do everything for you? If you're watching this and nodding because you've seen this happen to someone you love, type purpose in the comments. Let others know they're not imagining this transformation. Regret 4. Accelerated physical decline. Now for regret number 4, the one that shocked even me. The frightening speed of physical decline once you enter a nursing home. This isn't in the brochures. In fact, it contradicts everything they promise about better health through professional care. But I witnessed it happen not just to me, but to almost everyone around me. Before moving in, I wasn't running marathons, but at 79, I was doing well. I could walk unassisted, prepare my own meals, and even kneel in my garden for short periods. My doctor called me remarkably able-bodied for my age. 6 months after moving into the nursing home, I needed a walker. By the 1-year mark, I required assistance to get out of bed. What happened? The answer is both simple and devastating. In a nursing home, convenience becomes disability. When every meal is brought to you, you stop walking to the kitchen. When staff help you shower for safety reasons, you stop using those muscles. When medications appear in cups at precise times, you stop reaching or bending. The body follows a simple rule: use it or lose it. And in nursing homes, everything is designed for you to use it less. I watched Alice, my neighbor down the hall, experience an even more dramatic decline. She arrived able to walk with a cane, proud of her independence. 3 months later, she was in a wheelchair. 6 months later, she was bedridden. By month 9, she developed bed sores, the physical manifestation of a body that has surrendered to immobility. I don't understand, she told me during one of our afternoon chats. I came here because my doctor said it would be safer than living alone. No one mentioned I'd aged 10 years in less than 1. The most painful realization was how circular the problem becomes. The less you move, the less you can move. The weaker you get, the more assistance you need. And the more assistance you receive, the faster your capabilities disappear. I tried fighting against it. I would walk the hallways 10 times each day, do seated exercises in my room, and insist on dressing myself even when it took twice as long. The staff found this charming at first, then inconvenient, then concerning. "Mrs. Jenkins, why don't you let us help you with that? It would be much faster." "Mrs. Jenkins, we can bring a wheelchair if walking is becoming difficult." "Mrs. Jenkins, we're concerned about fall risk. Perhaps you should limit your independent activities." Their concern came from a good place, but their solution, doing things for me rather than helping me maintain my abilities, accelerated my decline. If you're considering a nursing home, you must understand this reality. The very system designed to care for you can unintentionally weaken you faster than aging itself. Ask yourself, do you have the determination to fight for your physical capabilities when everything around you encourages dependence? This is so important that I want you to stop the video right now and type "movement is life" in the comments if you're still with me. This might be the most crucial insight for anyone making this decision. Before I share regret number 5, I need to ask, have you noticed how nursing homes are marketed versus what I'm describing? The brochures show smiling seniors playing cards and doing gentle yoga. They promise care that preserves dignity and activities that enrich life. My experience, and the experience of nearly everyone I met inside those walls, tells a different story. If you know someone facing this decision right now, please share this video with them. What I'm about to reveal in these final 2 regrets might completely change how they approach their future. And if you're finding these insights valuable, please hit that subscribe button and bell notification. Your support helps us reach others who desperately need this information before making life-altering decisions. Regret 5. Loss of privacy and dignity. Regret number 5 cuts to the core of human dignity. the profound loss of privacy that comes with nursing home life. Imagine this. You've lived independently for 8 decades. You've raised children, perhaps fought in wars, built careers, and managed your personal affairs with competence. Then suddenly, overnight, you're in an environment where knocking on your door is merely a courtesy, not a request for permission to enter. The invasion of privacy begins subtly. A nursing assistant enters while you're changing clothes. Sorry, just need to drop off your medications. Another walks in while you're using the bathroom. Oops, didn't know you were in here. Soon, you realize that in a nursing home, your room isn't really yours. It's a space where you're allowed to exist under constant supervision. I remember the mortification I felt the first time I needed help in the bathroom, a basic human function I'd managed privately for 80 years. The assistant was kind and professional, but nothing prepares you for the humiliation of requiring an audience for such intimate moments. For those fortunate enough to have private rooms, there's at least a semblance of personal space. But many nursing home residents share rooms with strangers, people they didn't choose, with habits and schedules they didn't agree to accommodate. My first roommate, Gladys, liked to watch television at full volume until 2 a.m. My second had dementia and would rummage through my belongings, convinced they were hers. In both cases, I smiled and adapted because complaining felt ungrateful. After all, wasn't I lucky to be safe and cared for? Then there are the daily indignities that chip away at your sense of self. Being referred to as honey or sweetie by staff young enough to be your grandchildren. Having your food cut for you without being asked if you need help. Being discussed in the third person while standing right there. She had a good day today. She needs her medication. The most crushing blow to dignity comes when your judgment is no longer trusted. Want to go outside alone? That's not safe, Mrs. Jenkins. Prefer to skip an activity? It's not good for seniors to isolate, Mrs. Jenkins. Question a medication? Your doctor knows what's best, Mrs. Jenkins. Slowly, invisibly, you're transformed from an adult with 8 decades of wisdom into someone whose preferences are obstacles to efficient care. I watched a retired judge, a man who had made life-altering decisions from the bench for 40 years, reduced to tears when not allowed to choose when to take his shower. I saw a former teacher with 3 master's degrees patted on the head like a child when she questioned her medication dosage. If you're considering a nursing home, I urge you to ask yourself, how essential is privacy to your sense of self? How will you maintain your dignity in a system where efficiency often trumps personal choice? Because once lost, these aspects of humanity are exceedingly difficult to reclaim. If this concerns you, whether for yourself or someone you love, please type "Dignity Matters" in the comments. Let's start a conversation about how we treat our elders in these institutions. Regret 6. The one-way door. My final regret, number 6, is perhaps the most important of all, discovering that entering a nursing home is rarely a temporary decision. It's a one-way door that few ever pass back through. When I agreed to move in, I genuinely believed it was reversible. If I don't like it, I told my children, I can always go back home. They nodded, but I see now there was doubt in their eyes that I chose to ignore. Here's the devastating truth. Once you enter a nursing home, multiple forces conspire to keep you there forever. First, there's the rapid physical decline I mentioned earlier. Within months, you become weaker, less confident, and more dependent, making the prospect of independent living seem increasingly impossible. Second, your support system outside begins to dissolve. My home was sold within 6 months to cover the nursing home costs, Mom. My furniture was divided among family members or donated. My cat went to my neighbor. My garden withered. The physical infrastructure of my independent life disappeared piece by piece. Third, your financial resources get consumed at a staggering rate. Nursing homes can cost $8,000 to $10,000 per month. Once those resources are depleted, your options narrow dramatically. I watched resident after resident face this reality. There was Howard, who moved in for just a few months of rehabilitation after a fall. 3 years later, he was still there, his house sold, his savings depleted, his independence a distant memory. There was Elaine, who begged her children to let her move in with them after 6 miserable months in the facility. They lovingly explained that their 2-story home couldn't accommodate her new wheelchair needs. needs she developed only after moving into the nursing home. The cruelest irony? Many of us entered nursing homes to avoid being burdens on our families. Yet once inside, the physical, financial, and logistical barriers to leaving often become insurmountable, creating a different kind of burden. 3 months after arriving, I broached the subject of leaving with my son. His response haunts me. "Mom, be realistic. You need too much help now. It wouldn't be safe." The help I needed was largely the result of being in an environment that encouraged dependency. But by then, it was too late. My home was gone. My savings were dwindling. My body had weakened from months of inactivity. If you're considering a nursing home, whether for yourself or someone you love, I'm begging you to understand this. What's presented as a choice to go in may not include a choice to come out. Ask yourself, are you truly ready for this to be your final home? Because for most of us, despite what we're told, it is exactly that. If this revelation has made you reconsider nursing home care, please type alternative options in the comments. I'll share resources for maintaining independence longer with appropriate support. As I sit here today, looking back on 3 years in institutional care, I don't regret aging. That's a privilege denied to many. What I regret is surrendering my autonomy before I absolutely had to. I regret believing that safety was worth sacrificing everything that made life meaningful. I regret not exploring other options. In-home care, co-housing with other seniors, moving in with family with clear boundaries and support, or technology solutions that could have helped me stay independent longer. Does this mean nursing homes are never the right choice? No. There are circumstances where the level of medical care needed makes them necessary. There are excellent facilities with compassionate staff doing their best within a challenging system. But what I'm asking you to do is consider nursing homes as a last resort rather than a default solution for aging. Ask the hard questions before making this decision. What specific care needs make a nursing home necessary right now? Have all other options been thoroughly explored? How will you preserve purpose, dignity, privacy, and physical ability? What is your exit strategy if the situation isn't right? Remember, there is no perfect answer for aging. There are only trade-offs. The question is whether you fully understand what you're trading away when those nursing home doors close behind you. If this video has helped you see this decision more clearly, please do 3 things. First, share it with someone who needs this information before making an irreversible choice. Second, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more unfiltered wisdom about life's most challenging transitions. Third, leave a comment sharing your own experience with nursing homes or alternatives you've found successful. Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Thank you for staying with me through these difficult truths. My greatest hope is that my regrets might help you avoid your own. Remember, your life remains yours to direct for as long as you fight to keep it that way. Choose wisely and choose for yourself.